Have you ever had any kick-offs in the shop?
Mm, Okay.
Okay, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank
Tell us a
you.
little bit about yourself and what you do. And
So I'm Kelly. I am proud owner of Ivy Rose Bridal Boutique in Dover. Took ownership last September. Was working there for a few years beforehand. Um, and yeah, the opportunity arose to take over. Sort
Awesome.
of hesitated a little bit. Can I do it? But yeah, thought no, do you know what? I'm going to go for it.
So what made you take the jump to buy it?
Um, because actually my husband said, do you know what? Sometimes in life, if you don't sort of go for it, you'll never know.
Yeah,
And I was just like, oh, I can't really do it. I've never run a business. And he was just like, just try it. What's the worst that can happen? At the end of the day, you just have to sell. And I was
yeah.
like, that's true. And he was just like, otherwise you'll just come to work. Someone else is gonna.
See yours.
Um, yeah. So he was just like, otherwise someone else is just gonna take over, and you're going to be running it.
Yeah,
So they'll just kind of be behind the scenes and they'll be sort of telling you what to do. And I'm actually going to be in the shop doing all the hard work myself
yeah,
and not actually like reaping all the benefits. So he was like, just go for it. He's like my number one fan.
yeah. It's good to have that support system,
Yeah,
right?
like my biggest supporter. And yeah, to be fair, it is a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah,
It's quite difficult sometimes, especially like working on your own. Things go wrong. I've
yes,
got no one to blame other than myself. It's not
yeah.
like I could be like, oh,
Plus, you're the one that it all falls on you, right, to find the
exactly.
business and
Yeah,
like, it's a lot more to it than just selling
yeah,
dresses, right?
yeah, yeah. It is a lot. But yeah, as I say, I mean, it's been a year in September, and touch wood, it's going really, really well.
Good.
So yeah, mama too, business owner, homeowner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And how's work-life balance now with kids and
Yeah, I mean, my daughter's like 13, so she's kind of at that age. Apart from dropping her off at school and picking her
yeah.
up, she kind of does her own thing. Um, and my son's like 18 at university in London.
Okay, nice. So
So to be fair, it is
a
literally
lot
my
easier now.
yeah, it's easy. So
Yeah.
works, yeah, it's
Yeah, I've got a 4-year-old, so I'm not quite there yet.
believe me, it will come around
Yeah, I
quickly.
mean, you've seen this morning ketchup all over the
Yeah, I
face
did,
still,
bless
and
her.
she's still got it over her face.
Yeah, little
So what
sweetheart.
inspired you to get into the wedding industry?
Um, you know what? I kind of was in not a dead end job, but I was in like one job for like 14 years. I sort of come out of that, started helping a friend randomly in an osteopathy clinic. And I was running that for like 3 years.
Yeah,
But it was like going to work, it's like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And I just thought, it's just so mundane, isn't it? It's
yeah,
just, and I just thought, what do I have a passion for? And I thought like all things weddings. So initially I thought about doing some kind of wedding planning. That was my
okay.
initial thought. But it was just trying to get like my foot through the door.
Yeah,
Um, and then COVID happened. And I think we were in that period where we were in like furlough.
yeah,
And I had always driven past the boutique that I own. And I just sort of emailed and just said, like, are there any jobs going? Obviously, we're in furlough, etc. If there's any part-time jobs or anything, could you, please let me know?
yeah.
Didn't expect to hear anything. And then Kerry, the owner at the time, she emailed and said, actually, we are thinking about taking on a part-time, person.
Through COVID.
Like yeah, so afterwards, like
Yeah,
coming out of it, like once things pick up a little bit, it will only be part-time hours. And I
yeah,
was like, okay, so let me know. I think the hours were like maybe like 10 a week if I can remember rightly, so it wasn't a lot. And to be fair, I was then thinking, do I leave my job
yeah.
and working full time and sort of go into this only sort of working 10
10
hours?
hours.
And I just thought, oh, it's a bit of a risk. But then again, I just thought, do you know what? If it doesn't work,
You can
then
always go back and
I can go back or find something else. And I just thought at least then it's going to give me that like foot through
push.
the door,
Yeah,
and I can, yeah. And then I did,
it
yeah.
all worked out.
And then I kind of did my 10 hours and it's kind of built up a little bit more and a little bit more. And then, as I say, I was there for a few years. And then that's when the girls sort of approached me and said, we are actually thinking of selling. We want to give you like first refusal.
Oh, nice.
If you don't take it, and we sell obviously the business to somebody else, we're going to put in the contract that you've got to stay. With the job, you know. And I was just like, and then that's when, you know, me and my husband sort of sat down and said pros, cons, and whether or not you should do it.
It's a big risk.
Oh, massive. You know, even just that initial like payment for the business, just all these sort of thoughts going through my head, you know, can I do it? Can I do like the account side of things? Can I actually run the business? Can I do the ordering? Because obviously when I was working there, you know, I just sort of
Stuff.
just sold the dresses, you know, I sort of dressed the brides. It was like, so to actually then strip it all back and just do the whole thing by yourself, you just kind of learn as you go along. So, but yeah,
and are you still involved in like dressing the brides and
I
finding the
literally
dresses
do everything.
So have you got people that work for you as well? Oh, it's
It is a
one woman
man
show. Wow. Okay.
Yes, it is me. So I am the face of Ivy Rose.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So would you look at bringing more people on in the future?
Absolutely. I mean, I was kind of hoping, let's just see how 2025 pans out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got ideas for the shop. I'd like to like sort of do a complete renovation. And then, I mean, if it obviously gets to that point, I'd love to take somebody else on, like part-time. I do have, you know, like girls that I can sort of call upon.
Yeah.
Like, should I get busy? Obviously, my daughter's happy to help out. You know, even if it's just with like steaming and bits and pieces, or coming in just to make teas and coffees and things like that for the brides. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice one day to get to that point where I can just
take a little step back and have a day off once in a while.
Have a day off and let somebody else do it for me. And nice. Then, so there are goals.
Yeah, wow, so, congratulations on that. That's awesome. I actually didn't know that.
Did you not?
No, because we've only really met at the wedding fairs.
Yeah.
So I only really know you off of that. But yeah, no, that's fantastic. Yeah. I don't know how many bridal shops are just a one-woman show.
I mean, I don't know. There's a couple, but I think everyone's got someone.
Yeah.
But you know, it works. You know.
Yeah. Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix, right?
Exactly.
So, is there anything that you're doing different now to then when the previous owners had the shop?
I mean, there's been a few little tweaks and things, but nothing. You know, I might just give away goodie bags now, for example, whereas we didn't do that before.
Yeah. So little things, though.
I think those little touches are like really do make a difference, you know, and then sometimes I'll get those little pictures come through on like Instagram and things where they're like sat in front of the fire with their little bottle of wine that they've just picked up from their bag, and, you know, they're like, thanks, Kelly, like, love my candle, love this, love that. Yeah. It's just nice. I just think it's
feels
nice.
A little bit more personable.
Yeah. And that's how it is where I am. It's just because it is just me, it is a very personal, like, one-to-one experience, and I think that is what sets me back from like other bridal stores. You know, when you come to me and you come back in 6 months, it will still just be me.
Yeah. So
it's not like you'll come to see me and the next time you come in you might see another colleague and then another colleague. So like, literally it is just me.
I think like from what I've heard from couples, that's how they like things.
Yeah.
Like if they go to a venue and the first person to greet them at the venue, they want that person running their day.
Yeah.
Or don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It goes back to
exactly that. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. So I think, as I say, it works.
Yeah.
It does work.
So the process. So when people initially inquire or come into the shop, what's the process from when they walk in to choosing their dress?
So, as I say, it's like one-on-one personal experience. So as soon as the bride walks in, the door shuts and no one can come in.
So is it booking only?
It is bookings only. So it's appointment only.
Yeah.
I sort of recommend that you bring sort of a few people.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had brides that have brought in like 10. If they want to do that, that's absolutely fine. The majority of shops do like stipulate like 2 people.
Well, I had a bride on a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you saw the episode. She had 12 girls come in. Yeah. And it was quite overwhelming, and she ended up going back to the shop on her own to choose.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. So as I say, if they wanted to bring in 10, you know, who am I to say? I mean, I'd always give my opinion, and you know, and obviously say like, just bring in nearest and dearest, mum, sister, best friend, whatever, maid of honour. But some girls want to share that whole experience with everybody.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine. I mean, I might run out of chairs, but you know, if they want to, they can.
Yeah.
Whereas I say, there are bridal shops out there that will not allow any more than 2 or 3.
Which is quite restrictive.
Yeah, it can be. But again, for the reason that you just said, if you do bring too many and everyone's obviously got their own opinion, this is the problem. Then the bride ends up feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and you know, she likes it, she hates it, and then it can end in tears. I've had quite a few brides in tears.
Because of that.
Which isn't nice. You know, mum might hate it, auntie says she looks lovely. It's just, sometimes I do feel really sorry. Yeah, you kind of feel yourself sort of welling up yourself, you know, because it's like, it sort of gets you. But then I do have those little conversations with brides in the changing room, you know, just like between us, where no one else can have. Sometimes she'll say, oh, you know, what's your opinion, Kelly? What do you think? And you know, I'll be brutally honest, and I'll be like, I think this. You know, if I think something doesn't look quite, I'll be honest. If you want,
that's
my
your
opinion,
job, right?
That's
why
my
people
job.
come to you.
I want that bride to come out of there feeling like an absolute princess, like she's made the most perfect decision. So if she's asking for my opinion, I am going to be, you know, honest and give her the opinion.
And that's good to hear as well, because then it's not just like, it shows again. Like, I think the people that we've had on, we've shown a passion for what they do. And it's not all about the money.
No.
Because they could pick out the most expensive dress.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't look right, you could just go, it looks great, just for the money.
So and that's literally not how I do this at all. And then obviously once girls are in, we ask obviously like teas, coffees. There's always cakes, biscuits, sweets, and everything in there, which is obviously all complimentary. Then sort of give the girls sort of like 10 minutes to have a good look through. That isn't just the bride, that's everybody. And then we'll just start picking out obviously which dresses that she wants to try. I'd probably say on average, majority of girls would try sort of 8 to 10 dresses. They have 2 hours, so it's quite a substantial amount of time to try on. It can get a little bit difficult when you're sort of back to back with appointments, and if you are sort of running over, and then obviously your girls are outside, you know, for like the next appointment, and you haven't quite finished, and then I'm thinking, this is when I need someone, because I've got a table to clear, teas and coffees to.
Because you don't want to feel like you're rushing people out the door as well. But
so
I think that time limit needs to be, if they know we need to be done by 12. It's hard to sort of, once you're getting carried away in like pretty dresses and stuff, it's hard to sort of walk away. But and I think people need to take that on board as well, that you do have other clients.
But as I say, I mean, it's working. So
good. So I obviously know a lot about dresses.
Of course,
like,
I can imagine.
It's one of my favourite things. Are there any specific dresses that you specialise in?
I wouldn't say anything specific. Obviously, we've all got, as bridal stores, we've all got our own particular designers. And I do like plus size dresses. Obviously, I do bridesmaids, and I've even started doing prom as well now.
Okay.
But dress wise, we've got, I think there's like 5 different designers in store. So they can sort of range from, you know, sort of 1,000, and then I've got top end designers that go up to about 3,500.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a wide range there to sort of choose from. I'd probably say on average girls tend to spend sort of no more than about 15-ish.
Okay.
But as I say, there is a quite a large price point there. So I can cater for girls that have no budget, and then girls that are on more of a budget as well. But size wise, I do from like size sort of 6 up to 38.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot to choose on. Big range. That's good. That's good. Okay. So you mentioned earlier about if girls have got loads of people there watching, that they can get overwhelmed. How are you able to help with that, so that they're not feeling as overwhelmed?
I mean, sometimes I have to be sort of careful on what's said. But if my bride is upset, then, you know, I would sort of ask the question to the bride, you know, do you want me to step it? Shall I say?
Yeah.
And I will sort of say to best friend or whoever, you know, please, you know, like respect, you know, at the end of the day, if the bride really loves the dress, you know, like, you know, respect her. But as I say, I mean, it can be difficult.
Yeah.
It can be difficult.
It's nice to have the opinions, but if the bride's coming out like, oh my God, I love this.
Yeah.
Like, you need to take that on board as well.
I know.
Just because it's not your style.
And that is exactly why we say just bring nearest and dearest. And whose opinions matter, because too many will be just it's too overwhelming. But I mean, I haven't actually. I think a couple of times I've had to sort of say, you know, to like the entourage, you know, well, please just remember whose big day it is. Blah, blah. But otherwise, it will just be like a personal conversation between me and the bride in the changing room.
Yeah.
And I think most of the girls like that. I think they kind of feel quite safe and they're happy that, you know, my input, they're like, you know, you're the expert, what's your input? And I'll be like, if you want me to be honest, X, Y, Z. And they're like, oh, you know, I really appreciate that, Kelly. Thank you so much for your help. So, but... Are
there any people that, like, you know that they're not happy, but they're too afraid to ask the questions?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've really had that.
Or do you sort of know when they're sort of not happy or they're feeling good?
I mean, you can tell, you know, once a girl's, because this how it happens is the girls in the dress, they walk out, they go and stand on the podium, they're going straight into that big mirror.
Yeah.
So you can tell as soon as they look in that mirror, the facial expressions will say it all.
Yeah.
So, but that's the first port of call. I always get the brides to go out and look at themselves rather than sort of come out. They naturally want to turn to like their entourage and seek their sort of views on. But I sort of say, go out, turn and look in the mirror. You do your thing first.
Yeah.
Once you've taken it in, turn round and then obviously show everybody else. But yeah, you can tell straight away on a bride's face if it's a
thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
There must be quite a nice moment for you when you can see that they've found the right dress.
Especially if tears happen and, you know, I'm looking at entourage and they're sort of crying or they're cheering or, I mean, yeah, it is a lovely moment to be in.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I'm almost welling up and like shedding tears myself.
Well, you're part of the moment as well, right then?
Yeah. And it's you know, I do have some girls that will look at themselves in the mirror and they're waiting for like that reaction. They're waiting for tears and they can't understand that they think they found the right dress. Why are they not crying? And I'm like, it's okay. You know, not every girl, I didn't cry. You know, I loved my dress, but I didn't look in the mirror and start crying. My mum didn't cry, but didn't mean it wasn't the dress.
Some people just aren't criers.
Yeah, exactly. Some people just aren't criers. Whereas, you know, there's some where I have to run to grab the box of tissues because, you know, but yeah.
Plus, like, come wedding day, a lot of parents who haven't cried or people that haven't cried seeing the first dress, they'll see it differently then because hair's done now, makeup's done. You know that you're just about to walk down the aisle and emotions are totally different.
Exactly that. And that's why it's difficult. I mean, if they feel that way in that dress when they look at themselves, then you kind of know that when the dress actually fits them in their size, you know, and it's fitting and it's the right length and their hair's done and makeup done and veils on and jewellery, that they're just going to fall in love with it even more when it's actually their dress.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I love it.
Have you ever had any kick-offs in the shop?
No.
No?
Touch wood.
Oh, man.
So, if anything
I was hoping
happens
for
now,
a bit of
I'm going to hold you on and responsible.
The next one.
No, don't say that.
You'll have to come back on. Just send us a video of it.
No. I mean, there's as I say, there's been a few sort of heated moments where there might have been too many people's opinions and she's sort of like feeling overwhelmed and it's like, right, I'm going to go and I'll come back. And maybe she has come back on her own or with just one person. And, you know, sometimes I shut the door and I think, wow, you know, like, how did her mum say that? Or how could her, you know, nan say that? And I just think, wow, okay. Sometimes it is a little bit of a shocker. But yeah.
Some people are too honest.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah. And really that, I think I'll go back to that thing where it's like, it's a dress that they wouldn't have chose for themselves. and it's not fair on the bride at that point
No.
to voice that opinion. Like if the bride is happy and thinks she's found the one, then just leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly that.
So are there like certain dress types that don't suit certain brides?
I mean, the thing is, when a bride comes in, they've kind of got a vision maybe, or they might have a bit of a Pinterest board put together of what they think they like. But until they actually put different styles on, it's very difficult to know exactly. So I just always say to girls, like, you know, just try every style on. Try your ball gown, try your fitted, try this, try that. Because what you think you sort of are going to look like is normally the opposite. So, and a lot of girls are like, no, you know, this, I know what I want. And then when it is the opposite, they're like, oh my gosh, wow, Kelly, how is this even possible? Like, this is not what I thought of. And sometimes it takes a lot of girls to sort of process that, because they're like adamant, no, this is it. And then they'll end up in something different. And then they have to go away and think, actually, you know, that's not what I thought. But yeah, as I say, it's difficult. You know, I've got some girls, you know, they might be like, oh, you know, I don't really like my legs, or don't like my arms, and I want to cover them. So the bigger the dress, the better, because it's going to hide. When actually they put that on, and they might end up feeling more like curvy or something. And they're like, you know, and then we'll try something the opposite to what they think, and they're like, actually, yeah, this is working. This is no way in a million years what I thought I would wear. And then it just brings out a different side to them as well.
I think that's a lot like, it's that expectation versus reality sort of thing, right? So we'll get a lot of, and photographers will get a lot of like the Pinterest boards, we want this, but it's on a beach in Cancun. And they're getting married at a barn in Canterbury. It's like, you can't, it's not going to transfer. So, but when they see the end result, it's amazing. So, you know, it's good to obviously try everything when the opportunity is there as well. Especially if you've got 2 hours in there.
Exactly. It does go quick though, Joe.
I can imagine.
It's go very quick. It does. And some of the weights of those dresses as well. So again, obviously, if I had someone there helping, you know, they could at least sort of bring dresses to and fro. But yeah, doing it on your own as well, like lifting dresses from one to the other. And yeah, I mean, by the end of it on a Saturday, if we've got 3 or 4 back to back, you know, I'm snoring by 7 o'clock. I'm dead. I do not need to go to the gym.
And then you've still got to do admin. You've got
I've still got all my play mum and sort the house out and But like I said, I wouldn't change it.
No,
love it.
No, definitely not. So once the bride has picked out her dress, what happens after that?
So I mean, if we're ordering it, then normally how it works is it's like a 50% deposit. And then we place the order. Time scale, this is what a lot of brides underestimate. So they take between 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
To arrive. And a lot of girls,
Is that because they're getting made?
Yeah, so they're obviously all made to measure. If a bride is happy to pick and buy a dress off the shelf, so 9 times out of 10, any of the dresses that I've got in store can be sold off the shelf.
Okay.
Then they would be saving kind of up to half the price. But yeah, ordering wise, it does take quite a while. And then once that process is, you know, that order's in, once dress arrives in like 6 to 8 months time, we'll then obviously contact the bride, and then they'll come in and then they'll try their actual dress on in their size. So
do they take it away with them then, or do you keep it in?
So they have options. So I do offer like a store and insure service, so I can keep their dress for them until obviously they take it for their wedding, or it can obviously be bagged up and then they can take it home and then bring it back for fittings. So, but I think the majority of the girls just tend to just kind of leave it here. Got a huge basement and everything's just stored.
Yeah, I think it's the safest option, right?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think so.
We've obviously, if there's a year between that day and the wedding day, obviously some brides, they want to get into shape or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you do the alterations yourself? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is like a massive thing that I kind of pride myself on. Quite a lot of bridal stores, you know, they'll sell you the dress. And then once dress arrives, you know, they'll sort of give you the dress and then you've got to go off and find somewhere. Well, they'll recommend seamstresses. But then you've got to go and take it. Whereas with me, everything is done in-house. So I've got 2 like amazing seamstresses that come sort of a couple of times a month. Yeah, they'll fit the girls in store. And then dresses are obviously then taken away to their shops.
Yeah.
And then they'll work on them and then bring them back to me. So a bride with me will only ever come back to me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
I mean they're kind of sick of me.
Yeah.
When we're like 5 or 6 appointments down the line. But again, I think that's nice. You know, for me personally,
you're remembered.
Yeah.
As well.
As I say, if you don't like me, you're not going to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just think it's nice. You know, like when I got my dress, you know, I was like going backwards and forwards, and I just thought, oh, this is just. Whereas, yeah, you know where you've come in. You're not going anywhere else.
Yeah.
If you've got any problems, you know where I am. And I think it's nice, and I think that's why I get quite a lot of local girls. Because it's easy as well, and you know what's what.
See, I think it's nice seeing the same faces each time, because then you become friendly, right? And then you're not just someone who sold them a wedding dress. No. You're then part of their actual wedding.
Literally make friends.
Yeah.
Like with every bride. You know, it's like we've built like this friendship. It's like we know each other. By the end of it, you know, we're hugging each other. We'll have, you know, tears. You know, I kind of feel like I want to almost be invited to the wedding.
Yeah.
It's like you become so close. It's lovely.
Yeah, I think it's nice when that happens.
Yeah.
Like I've still got friends who I've filmed their wedding now.
Yeah.
And then we still hang out. We you know what I mean. Shanice is now friends with them as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
So I think when you've created that bond with someone, it's really nice, and I think it makes that moment even sweeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I want. I want that bride to be like, you know, I want them to sort of say to, you know, their friends and things, you know, oh, go and see Kelly. Like, I had an amazing experience from start to finish, you know, like, it's just been amazing. And I have had so many recommendations, and it's nice. And the Google reviews are going up, and, you know, it just makes you feel like...
Yeah, like you're doing something right.
Yeah, exactly.
And buying that business was worth it.
You know, I say to girls as well, you know, I might not see you now for 8 months, but, you know, this is the number. You just text me. You call me whenever you want to. If you've got any questions, even if it's something silly, you're lying in bed at 12 o'clock at night and you're thinking of the most random question. Yeah. You know, just type it, ping it through. Like, I don't care what time it is. You know, if I'm awake and you're happy for me to answer at midnight, I'll answer at midnight. It's not a problem. You know, I've had some brides sort of say, oh, I didn't expect you to email me back on a Sunday, or I didn't expect this, and this is great, thank you. You know, that's the nice thing, you know, when it's your business and it's like your life and soul, and it's just, you'll just do it.
It shows that you love the job, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think like aftercare and customer service is like so important. Yeah. Like, as I say, there are so many shops that will just sell you a dress and they don't care after that point. Yeah. But that's literally... Yeah, I still have brides now that have been married for like a year, and they'll just randomly message me.
That's like, nice, yeah.
You know,
and I think that's why I wanted to set up this podcast, because I know that there are people out there that they just care about the bottom line. Yeah. And anything extra is a charge extra, and this, that, the other. But it's the people that go the extra mile and are willing to do stuff like that as well.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
I think people need to see and be in front of.
Yeah.
So. With the final alterations, how far in advance do you get brides to do that?
So alterations in the house normally sort of happen a couple of months before.
And you say after that, no more running, no exercises?
We just kind of say, you know, like, you're perfect as you are, kind of just maintain and stay as you are. Yeah. I mean, things do happen. Obviously, there are opportunities to have like other alterations, but normally we only ever have one. If we need to have more, then that's easily done. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I've had one that's haunted me, but normally, you know,
can we talk about that one?
9 times out of 10, it all runs very smoothly. Yeah. So, but yeah, so a couple of months before, and then another one after that, should they need it.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Are there any trends in the wedding industry at the minute that you're seeing and enjoying?
Shorties.
What shorties?
Short dresses.
Oh, well, like for like evening. Or just in general?
In general. So you can either go full blown sort of one outfit, short.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of them will have like an overskirt.
Yeah.
So then it might look like a normal sort of size dress,
Yeah.
and then you'll just unclip it and then have your little short one for the evening. So I think that's like current trend.
Yeah.
Which I really like, but I haven't actually got in the shop.
Yeah.
And my reason being is I just don't feel like a lot of girls would go for it.
Right. What about evening dresses? Could you just sell them as because I've done a lot of weddings this year where they change dress in the evening, which I think is an amazing idea.
Yeah.
Because you've got this big heavy dress on all day.
Yeah.
And you see these brides struggling to dance.
Yeah.
And then everyone's trying to get to her at the evening, they can't. And...
So I guess, if you've got a shorty, but you've got maybe like an overskirt on, and then you've got that option to take it off, and then you've got two dresses in one. I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
I don't have an awful lot of brides that maybe their budget will stretch to having two dresses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, trend wise, I think, yeah.
I mean, a lot of the girls that I've seen this year have just gone to Primark for their evening dresses.
Yeah.
It's like a simple £10 dress.
There's quite a lot of girls that come in and said that they bought something on like ASOS or Shein. Yeah, I mean, I've been actually quite shocked. The majority of girls that have come in with like Shein veils. I mean,
are they good?
I mean, I have seen some rotters. Not gonna lie, but I have seen some fairly decent veils, to be fair. And I've actually been quite shocked. And they might have only spent about £20. Accessories and things, I use a company now, and they're just so reasonably priced.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting. They come in like a beautiful keepsake box. But as I say, if girls are on a budget, which they are, then yeah, some of the veils that I have seen coming in from Shein and places, they do the job.
It's incredible stuff that's out there now.
Yeah.
Like I don't really go
even
on Shein,
like hairbands or hair grips or things like that. If they've got 6-7 bridesmaids, they might be on a budget. They're coming in with clips for like £2, and I'm like, they look
decent.
They look decent. Who's gonna know?
Yeah.
Who's gonna know?
Especially for like bridal party.
Yeah. I mean, the dress is different, but accessories and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for it.
So how important is budget when it comes to dresses?
Oh, it's massive. And again, I kind of pride myself on this. It's a question that I ask when they come in. Once we've sort of sat down and we've discussed, styles, etc. My main question is, what is your budget?
Yeah.
Some bridal shops don't like to ask, but
I think it's very important.
It is the most important question in my opinion.
What's the point in showing a £3,000 dress if they're on a £750 budget?
And that's why I say, what's your budget? And some girls will be like, I don't have one, and I'm thinking, everyone's got a budget. There's got to be a budget, So eventually we'll kind of get that out. And the reason for it, and the most important thing is like you just said, there's no point having a £1,500 budget and then she's picking out a £3,500 dress.
Yeah.
There are shops that won't ask the question, or they'll even ask the question and get the answer and still put them in a dress that's £2,000, say, over budget, on the hope, that they'll cry and fall in love with it and they'll find the money. But again, doing what I do, and it's
fair, really,
no,
is it?
And that's why, and that's why I'm so like brutally honest. I want to help them as much as I can.
Yeah.
So asking these questions are like so important, and getting that right is just crucial.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be that person at the end with a bride that's crying, because I haven't asked the right questions or done my job properly. That's just...
I do think a lot of people underestimate what their budget is.
Yeah.
Like they may go in and go, I've only got £500, but I do think that there's generally a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah.
With everything. Because I don't think, unless you've planned a wedding before, you never know how much things are going to cost.
No.
So I do think people need a little bit of wiggle room, but obviously not thousands of pounds worth of wiggle room.
No.
But yeah, I think budget's definitely important in a lot of things.
Yeah, obviously, because there are alteration costs as well.
Yeah.
So like if their budget is say £1,500, then does that include your alterations, or are you happy to pay obviously more for alterations? So there are a lot of things, but I think definitely girls underestimate like costs. And
so does your price of dress include alterations, or is there an additional cost?
There's always an additional cost. Okay. But again, I'm open, I'm honest. So it'll just be, every dress in store has got a tag, it's got a price on. So again, if they sort of said to me my budget's 15, they can see how much that dress is. So if they pick it out and it's 3,000, when we're going along and I'm like, just to let you know, just take a look at the price tag. I just want to make you aware that, this is over your budget. And then they're either like, yeah, or okay, I made a bit of a mistake, I'm going to put that one back. Or, but yeah, alterations are always an additional cost. It's obviously paid to the seamstress, even though it's done like in-house. It's obviously not my bill.
Yeah.
So, but it's within my facilities. So they come to me because it's a safe space and that it's a known space. But costs and everything is direct to the seamstress.
So with the price of dresses, obviously, I've never shopped for a dress in my life, but well, not that I'm going to put out on camera anyway. So with like the cost difference, is that a branding cost or a quality of dress cost?
I mean, both. I mean, obviously, like high-end names, you're going to pay more. It's just the same with anything. You go and buy a car, you're going to pay more for a Mercedes or a BMW or something than you will do a Nissan. But, I mean, obviously, the quality as well is going to be slightly different. But doesn't mean that it's not, I think you can still get a decent wedding dress.
Yeah. For
the lower end budget.
Yeah.
If you're not bothered about now, some girls literally follow a brand.
Right.
So, they'll phone up and be like, oh no, do you sell this? Do you sell that? Whereas other girls, they haven't really got a clue. They're just coming in. They don't really care. They're not following. It's not a trend.
And how open-minded do brides need to be when they're coming in to look at dresses?
Very.
Very.
Very, yeah.
We spoke about it earlier, girls that may have the Pinterest board.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anyone come in that's like so closed off to anything else that they won't try anything else?
Oh yeah, I mean there have been a few, and I have to kind of get them out of that thought process and just be like, like I always say to the girls as well, like what you've picked, are you happy for me to actually pick, a few as well? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So if I look, until a bride's in the dress, you can't really gauge like shape, etc. Yeah. But afterwards I kind of think, actually she's missed this and I think this might work. So I always say, do you mind if I pick something? And they're like more than happy, and then I'll bring a few in as well. But until they've kind of tried one on, they can't really gauge. So it's like, if they've got a fitted one on and they absolutely hate it and there's 5 fitted ones sort of lined up ready to try on, then we know straight away that we kind of got to eliminate them. Yeah. So we'll kind of put them back and then we almost start the process again and then we'll start. But yeah, there's definitely been girls that are not willing to try anything other than whatever they've visioned.
Yeah.
And then until we then sort of push them out of that sort of comfort zone and then they look in the mirror and then they kind of realise, actually, I might have actually got this wrong. I actually really love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that definitely needs to be...
Stay open-minded.
Absolutely. I couldn't even tell you how many girls come in for a dress with sleeves. And I mean, I've got to be completely honest, I'm not a lover of sleeves.
Yeah.
It's nice when a dress has like detachable sleeves.
Yeah.
So you can kind of just roll them on and off.
I don't like the ones that just come around the arms.
Don't you?
I'll tell you what, it's because it's restricting your movement.
Yeah.
And that's all it is, because when we're doing our couple shoots or your first dance, you may want to do a spin and your arm can't come up higher than that.
Yeah.
Or like if you want to do like the cuddles.
I mean, obviously like your bardo sort of off the shoulder.
Yeah.
I'm talking like a full sleeve. So I have a lot of girls come in that want like a full sort of all over lace sleeve. I mean, sleeves look great, and when you've got like a bridal magazine in front of you and you see these stick thin size 6 girls with these dresses with sleeves, and they literally look like a mannequin.
Yeah.
And then realistically, you put this dress on and sleeves, in my opinion, like you just said, they're so restrictive. So even with like a full length sleeve, they kind of cut you off before you get sort of to your armpit. So you kind of feel like you can't really do much more. You know, most of the brides might have like young children or anything, like even just to like bend down and pick your child up could be, you know, quite hard to do.
You see a lot of brides that just look uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. They look uncomfortable. And like I said before, like I'll say to them, you know, what is the reason for a sleeve? Like, you're getting married in August. Why on earth do you want to wear a sleeve? Oh, I don't like my arms. I'm like, okay, you don't like your arms. Like, there's nothing wrong with your arms. But, you know, we've all got our own little like insecurities and things that we don't like, which is fine. But it's just like, I do stress, obviously, like restriction. And also, you know, when you're wearing a dress, if you've got sleeves, let's just say it's got all like detail, all that does is it draws attention to the one area that you're trying to hide, if that makes sense. So it's like you're wearing all of these sort of big sleeves or whatever. People are naturally then drawn to your sleeves.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you might then start to feel a little bit sort of self-conscious again. It's like, well, but actually, when you find the right dress, those kind of insecurities,
they go away.
They would go away, you know, or even just a simple veil going over your shoulders.
Yeah.
That kind of acts more like a comfort blanket. Then
that's a good tip. That is like, get a bigger veil instead of.
Yeah.
Because by the time like you want the veil out anyway, you're going to forget how you're feeling. But
you would honestly be shocked how many girls who 100% want sleeves that buy a dress that's strapless or has no sleeves or a spaghetti strap, and they're just like, it's just when you find the right dress and you feel that inside you, everything else just disappears.
Yeah.
You really will not even notice the things that you just.
Well, again, once it's like hair done, makeup done, you've got your flowers and everything there. Everything comes together.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard to get that full picture when you're just trying the dress on for the first time, right?
Yeah, I get that. I do.
Yeah.
But it's a process.
Yeah.
And you have got to kind of think, you know, I've got my bouquet from when I got married last year, and the girls can hold that in front of the mirror, or, you know, I've got some hair grips that we can kind of put up and play around with different veils and things to give them a sort of a better picture of their overall look. But
so you use your own bridal bouquet?
Yeah.
In your bridal, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of kitted the whole shop out with all of my like decor from my wedding.
Your wedding memorabilia.
Yeah. So I had a lot of, well, it was all dried flowers and pampas grass. And actually, when you walk into my shop, it is just pampas. And, you know, I had like 12 tables with these huge sort of pampas displays. And after the wedding, I just brought everything back to the shop and I stored it downstairs in the basement. And I thought, you know, I might actually be able to use that as decor in the shop. And yeah, it's.
This must be nice for you seeing all the stuff back from your wedding.
Yeah, it does, and I think that's why, like, when I took over, we'd only recently got married. It'd literally been not even a couple of months.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've never really got out of that wedding bubble.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm kind of like reliving my memories over and over again, and I get to just continuously share it with like all these brides, and it's just. Yeah, it's so lovely. You know, when I see a bride standing up on the podium and she's holding like my veil, and I'm like, oh.
There's not many other jobs that you can do that, right?
No.
So you haven't hit those wedding blues yet, then?
No, I don't think I ever will. To be fair, that's what I mean.
Well, as long as you're in the industry,
it. I mean, we got married last July, and since then I've just always been amongst brides and weddings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's amazing. There literally is no better job.
No, I totally agree.
I mean, who wouldn't want to come in and play dress up for hours? It's just...
Totally.
I mean, you're more than welcome, Joe.
I mean, if you need a model, like a male model to come in...
You're more than welcome.
I'm sure there's a bloke around...
I'm hoping we'll see your other half soon as well.
Right, we've got to stop. I'm going to cut that from the... You get me in trouble with that. We're going to move on to the next question.
Next question.
So, as a business owner and bridal fitter, are there any challenges that you've encountered since taking over?
No. I mean, again, touch wood, nothing major. I've had some issues with like brides, maybe like losing or gaining weight, etc. And things not fitting a few weeks before the wedding. I mean, there's a lot of stressful times.
And with that, how often are you blamed? for the dress not fitting on the wedding day?
I haven't been blamed.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
I just know a lot of people try to pass the buck when they haven't been as strict with themselves.
When you come in and you're being measured,
yeah,
and those measurements are on paper, you kind of got that to fall back on.
Yeah.
So it's not like no one's pointing the finger at anybody. But there is one that sticks out in my mind that I think will always haunt me. I mean, we got there, it was fine, the dress fitted and it was fine, and the wedding went ahead and there was no problems. But I think that was one of the ones that will always just kind of be in the back of my mind.
Yeah. I think if you've not got one of those stories as a wedding vendor, you haven't been doing it long enough.
No.
I mean, I've got a few. None of it was my fault.
Of course not. No.
That actually made it really sound like it was my fault.
It did, yes.
I'll make it onto them stories another show, not today.
You'll have to tell me those after. Camera's cut off.
Yeah. So we've spoke about a few mistakes that brides make when they choose their dress. Are there any other common mistakes that brides may make when they come in and choose their wedding dress?
Buy a dress because their entourage like it and maybe they don't.
Yeah. You find a lot like that in weddings though, like church weddings. I've done a lot of church weddings where the bride and groom aren't religious. They either done it because they like the look of it or because Nan and Grandad wanted them to get married in the church. And as nice as that is, the sentiment is lovely.
Yeah.
But if that's not what you're into, because church weddings are really restrictive for us, so you're not going to get the best out of us. As
many of them these days.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I think they're becoming more popular again.
Really?
And some are really nice. Some are beautiful churches.
Yeah.
But then you get, like the most beautiful churches you get the vicars that they do not want you there. I've had vicars tell me that if they had their way, I would not be in that church. And it's such a shame. Because,
are you allowed to like fly drones and things like when you're...
Well, yeah. Again, some people can be quite funny about it. But there's not many places that are legally allowed to stop you.
Right, okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of restrictions and stuff like that. But I think people just need to choose things because it's their wedding day.
Yeah.
Like, how would you feel if you then told someone in the future, I want you to do this? Just seems a bit silly.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I don't think I've got many brides that are actually getting married in a church.
Yeah, I think I've got quite a few next year.
Yeah.
Which again, my last one, the nicest vicar. She let us film wherever we wanted. She wanted to see the footage after. I've never had a vicar ask for the footage after, which is really nice for us.
Yeah.
And it's got to be great for them as well, for a little bit of promo.
Is that to just make sure that what you've done is like...
Potentially. I mean, I don't know.
Adequate.
I don't know. I mean, she seemed really keen to see it, and she actually loved the footage.
Right.
So whether they then use that for a bit of promo after,
hopefully,
I love that.
Yeah.
But not a lot of churches ask for it, and if they're horrible on the day, then I don't want to send them the footage. If the bride and groom want to send them, but I won't. But yeah, it's still like a grey line.
What your favourite like venues and things?
There's venues that are like better to film at because there's a lot more locations. Like inside ceremony can be a bit hit and miss if the outside one's really nice.
Yeah.
But they're like the Orangery. They've got beautiful inside ceremony and a beautiful outside ceremony. But not many venues have got the balance. Like Winters again have also got a really nice inside, but the natural light is a bit off, but they've got nice lights inside. So there's a lot of factors that go into it for photography and videography. But there's definitely some venues that are a bit, they still need a bit of money into the venue. But yeah. So what are your top 3 tips for wedding planning? They're going to be pre-wedding, wedding day, post-wedding.
I think organisation, 100%. I would personally recommend a wedding book.
Okay.
So
what's a wedding book?
Like an actual journal. So it will actually tell you,
like an Excel spreadsheet of...
kind of like.
Okay.
Yeah. So either do your own or, I mean, I think I bought one on like Amazon or somewhere.
Etsy have got to sell something like that, right?
Exactly. And I just think it was like a wedding planner. So it literally helped me personally. So it was like a page on like, like your venue, your photographer, like budgets, And I would, it was literally like my holy Bible.
Yeah.
So I would literally carry it in my handbag all the time. As soon as I had a thought, I'd write it down. I'd always put like the cost when I booked somebody. I'd, you know, have all of the like details.
So it's all in one place then?
Literally all in one place. So I would be super organised, obviously, have a budget in mind.
So with the budget, if you've got a specific number in your head, obviously there's got to be room for deviation, right?
Yeah, I mean, like
how strict do you need to be?
A little bit of wiggle room. I mean, like with me, I mean, once I had my photographer, you know, I didn't even actually think about a videographer, and then that kind of come months and months after.
Yeah.
So I then threw that in, and then we were another sort of 500 whatever down, but then I kind of saved on other things.
Yeah.
So I still think we kind of, without it escalating, you know, I think you've still got to have a little bit of wiggle room, but not go mad. I mean, some people might not have a budget.
Yeah.
It's great. But, you know, like the average wedding, you know, you're talking like 25, 30,000.
Yeah.
You know, and
just prioritising what you want most, right? So like Shanice is a hairstylist, so I think hairstyling would be a major priority for her. So get that booked in as soon as.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I found like, I mean, even now, like hair and makeup, they just get booked up so quickly.
Yes.
So I would, so definitely get my planner. I would definitely have a budget, and I would definitely book, you know, obviously venue was like the first port of call, and I think that's great. After your venue, we'd normally go straight onto your dress.
Yeah.
Because of time scale on how long dresses take. And then, you know, if you've got like your favourite hairstylist or your favourite makeup, you just need to get everything booked in as quickly as possible, because, you know, I booked some of mine like 18 months before the big day. And even some that I wanted, they weren't available.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm taking bookings 2 years in advance at the minute, and it is when you get. So I put a little bit on my website of like, tell me a little bit about yourself, and I remember like a couple booked me and they didn't fill that in, and then another couple literally like a week later inquired for that date, and they told me everything about themselves, how they met, why they wanted to book me, and it was really nice to read actually. And I'm like, I'm booked. I can't turn them away just because of that. So it is hard turning people away. It's nice that I'm like the business is there.
Absolutely, yeah, it's brilliant. Well, you're amazing at what you do.
Stop it.
But yeah, and then I mean, obviously, once it comes to the dress, I mean, the most important thing is like on your actual like bridal journey. Like I always say, don't sort of go to more than 3 like boutiques.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of brides that, you know, they're in that bubble, they're in that moment, they're literally going to go to as many dress shops as possible. They just want to go on this big journey. But realistically, like, you know, once your venue's booked, I always recommend like 3 shops. Try and keep like your appointments like quite close to each other.
Yeah.
So ideally like all on the same weekend, or a couple, you know, like all on the same day if you can get 3 in one day. Only because then when you try different dresses on, it's kind of like fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
So you don't forget. You know, a lot of brides might come to me 1 month, and then 3 months later they'll go to Canterbury, and then they'll go to like Bluewater or something, and they kind of forget like what they tried on with me, how they felt in that dress opposed to this one now in Bluewater, for example. So I think, no more than 3 shops, just to avoid confusion.
Would you say like have one as like a local shop as well?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, when I go to like the cricket ground or I do wedding fairs and things, you know, I give exactly the same advice. So, you know, if there's a girl that's in Dover, you know, just it's out of ease. You know, there's shops that are local. So you've got me, you know, you might have Folkestone, you've got Deal, Sandwich, you know, just rather than trooping across Kent, you know, just look at your local stores. Because if you find something local, and then, you know, great.
Done. Nice and easy.
It's easy. And then time is a massive thing. So don't underestimate time. We always say that you should have ordered your dress like at least a year before the big day.
Yeah.
Only because if it does sort of stretch to sort of 6 to 8 months, then for alterations as well, it doesn't obviously leave a lot of time.
Panic station.
But yeah, and then other than that,
Nice. They're great. They're 3 great tips. I think it will help people when they're planning their wedding and looking for their dress as well.
Yeah.
So where can people find you?
So obviously boutique is based in Dover. So we're on Castle Street. So beautiful view of the castle.
Oh, nice.
You, like come in and out of the store. And it's literally just where St James's is. So there's a retail park.
Yeah.
So parking's like super easy. First hour for free, which is even better.
Nice.
And you literally just walk like a minute, just around the corner, and there's a shop. Obviously, I'm on Instagram, Facebook.
And should people inquire with you first?
Yeah,
before coming
obviously
to the
you
shop?
can just visit the website. You can book appointments direct on the website.
Okay.
As I say, obviously phone numbers are there, mobile number, work mobile's on there, so I can be contacted, like message, DM me on Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
I think my daughter has put me on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
I'm not very good with that though, to be fair, so I wouldn't look at that. But yeah, I mean all the like normal avenues.
Nice.
So yeah.
We'll make sure all your information's in everything that we post anyway, and
yeah, brilliant.
hopefully people reach out to you when they're ready to
hopefully
get their dress
that'll be
booked in.
good.
Awesome. So before we wrap up,
Yeah.
is there anyone that you'd like to see on the podcast in the future?
Oh, who can I think of? Maybe Sam at Pretty Prep Studios.
Okay, yeah. I'm seeing Sam this week, actually.
Oh, yeah,
so.
yeah. So she's recently won an award, I think, hasn't she? At the...
Oh, Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she deserves to come on here.
I think she would have ended up on the show at some point.
Really?
Anyway. Yeah.
I'm sure she would also.
Yeah, I was on hers, the live one that she did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I've got many fellow friends that I think, are worthy, but yeah.
Oh, well, hopefully you'll see them on it at some point as well.
Hopefully.
Well, so it was great having you on the show.
Thank you.
Getting to know you a little bit more.
Yes, thank you.
We'll see each other again in January.
I'm sure we will.
End on a high five. Nice.
So.
Nice and easy, that, isn't it?
That was.